Hi, my name is Miriam. I used to be Amish and I'll be showing recipes that we made growing up and still use today. My goal is to do one video a week. Today, for the first video, it will be a fresh homemade apple pie. The crust is made from scratch and so is the filling. There has never been any complaints on this recipe yet, so good luck and enjoy. All the ingredients I have today will be typed in the description. I put the flour and the salt and the sugar, and then you mix that up really well. And then after you have mixed that up, you take your shortening I use my hand, but you can use a fork, and you want to crumble the mixture very well until it resembles coarsely. Mix it together with a fork or your hand until it resembles some coarse crumbs. Okay, so this is how you want it to look, and then you need to take a different bowl, add the vinegar, the water, and the 2 eggs. You beat this up really, really good. And the trick to the good crust is you can stir the wet mixture all you want, and you can crumb the dry ingredients with the shortening all you want, but after you mix the wet with the dry, you do not want to over stir it. You pour it together and you stir it just until it is blended enough where it will stick together, but you do not want to over stir the wet with the dry ingredient. Put a nice thick layer of flour down, because if your dough is a little bit sticky, it will need a good amount of flour. And then put enough flour on top, just enough so your roller won't stick to it. And then roll it out to whatever. If you like a thick crust, you can leave it a thick crust. If you like a thin crust, roll it out to a very nice thin crust. You can do it either way. And then you take the end of it, you fold it in half like that. Then bring your pie plate as close to it as you can and just flip it right in there like that, and then separate the fold, and now you want to press it down in the bottom of the pan. Very good. And the trick to have a nice edge to your pie, do not cut the edge off until you have added the filling, which now we're going into the filling part. I pre-sliced and peeled the apples. It takes about 6 or 7 apples. They were kind of small. I did them prior to starting this, so I put them in cold water with about 1.5 teaspoons of salt so it doesn't turn really brown. And now you want to take the apples and put them directly in your pie crust. And the more full it is, the better it'll turn out. It's actually good to have it nice and rounded, that. And this is about right around 5 cups, which is about 6 apples. Now you want to cut off the edge, all the extra edge. And set the pie plate out. And you can re-roll the dough, that does not matter. Okay, so here's for the top. It's sometimes a little bit tricky if you re-roll some of it. It might not want to stick as well, so try and get the sticky dough around it so it just does a little bit better. And do whatever thickness you want this as well. And when you're rolling it out, it always seems to be better roll from the center out, whichever way you go. That's just a trick my mom taught me. Now, you bring the pie over. You flip this in half just like you did the bottom one. Now we're working on the ingredients that go in the filling. We got 3/4 cup brown sugar with flour, some salt, cinnamon, and now you want to stir this up really, really well. So now this is how you want it to look, and you just sprinkle it all over the apples. Like that. Make sure you hit the edges good. And now you want to take the butter sliced, place it all over on top. This is what makes it turn out good, is the butter. And when the butter melts, it will make this mixture run down all the way through the apples and everything. Usually, after it's done baking, it will be a little bit liquidy, but you can add a little bit more flour if you want to. That will prevent that, or you can just leave it. We just usually, that's how we like it. Now, you want to take just regular water and wet the edges of the pie crust. That way, the top and the bottom half will stick together and it won't open up and let everything run out. Okay, now that we wet the crust, we will put the top layer on. Make sure you have it on all the edges, and then you want to press down gently just so they stick. And now you want to cut the extras off, just like we did the bottom one. Oh, and by the way, a butter knife works the best for that. Okay. Now, you can either use a fork and press down for the edges, but I always like to pinch them. It just looks a little bit more homemade. And with the water in the in between the two crusts, it will help make it stick together. Now, after everything is together, you want to take a knife and put some breathing holes in it. So when it needs to boil, it will not lift up the whole crust, and this will help prevent that. Poke it all the way through the top crust where you can see the fruit inside it. Go all the way around it, and then if you want to make it a little bit fancy, you know, whatever design you want on it, This mixture is a powdered sugar with water. You want it kind of like a gravy mixture, the thickness of a gravy. Then you take this and you rub it all over the top, and this will create a good flaky crust. This is what makes the flakiness. And you want to turn your oven on 425, which I have it preheated. You probably want to turn your oven on once you start rolling out the dough. And now we're ready to put it in the oven. So, good luck. Okay, now for the extra pie crust we got left. This is my husband's favorite part of the pie crust. You roll it out just like you did for the pie. You can reuse the flour that's been laying around. And then roll this out. Now you take melted butter. It's probably about 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And this is similar to cinnamon rolls, but when it gets done, the crust is very crunchy. You can take it out as soon as it gets a little bit brown, light brown, or if you like the crunch, you can leave it in for a little while longer and it'll get nice and crunchy. And even when you store it, it stays nice and crunchy. Now that we've done that, I got brown sugar and cinnamon mixture. It's about 3/4 cup brown sugar and about half a teaspoon of cinnamon, which I might have to make more. You fold this in half. And you want to try and have everything covered where the cinnamon stuff is at. Just take your pizza cutter and just slice them up. Whatever thickness, whatever size you want, you just slice them. I'll probably come in half because they're kind of long. Spray the pan and put them in there. See, you can see the crust with the cinnamon and brown sugar. And they will not rise, so you can put them as close together as you want. And you take the same mixture as you had for the top of the pie crust, put the same stuff on these. You can put it on as thick as you want. It'll just run off if it's too much, but it makes it nice and crispy. And for the pie, you want to bake that at 425 for the first 15 minutes, and then turn it down to 350 for the rest of the time. And it should be baked for close to an hour. After you have them all in the pan and you put that glazing on top, you can put sprinkle a little bit of white sugar or candy sugar or sprinkles or whatever you want on the top. It's just for more color or a little bit more. It can give a little bit more of a crispiness. You don't have to do much, just a little bit, and it's optional. You don't have to do that. Now it's ready for the oven. An hour later, this is what the pie looks like. Nice and crunchy and flaky and hot, or you can let it cool off and eat it with a big scoop of vanilla ice cream, or eat it just a pie. It's good either way. Hi guys, you can let let me know in the comments how you like my recipe, and I hope you enjoy it, and have a blessed day. Thank you. And this is what the finished product looks out of the leftover dough. And these are nice and crunchy and flaky as well, with that cinnamon flavor with the brown sugar. Can't beat that.